All right, so this video is kind of ironic because I just talked about this not that long ago. Actually, someone sent me um, an email, and it was a realtor that they had, and the realtor was telling them that you're not going to be able to find homes here for under 500,000. This was actually on the 11th. So today's the 14th, which is Valentine's Day. But I just saw a article talking about homes in Tacoma. Now, last year based on what Redfin was saying, we were the top market for homes in terms of selling, right? Tacoma became the top market. Now, one of the big things here, and I'm going to do another video that talks about what's going on at Brewery Blocks because it's kind of amazing. Brewery Blocks follows our studio, the Painting Panda Pottery Studio. They follow us, and we follow them, but I've shown a lot of interest in them because a lot of the things that they're doing, but a lot of the companies that are locating there are not from Tacoma. Like, they're not local businesses or people that live in Tacoma. They're from other places like Seattle, Olympia, different places. But I'll talk about that in a different video. But this is kind of piggybacking off of that a little bit because Tacoma is really growing very fast. Very fast. And I've said this before to Noelle, and she used to say no, no. I would say to her that I feel like this is kind of like Seattle 2.0 in a way. No, we don't have all the big buildings everywhere. No, we don't have people coming to this area just to visit us like they do in Seattle. And no, we don't have all the glitz and glamour and all the hoity-toity. We don't have that. But you're seeing just a flood of people. The interstate always backed up. You're seeing a lot of the stuff that has happened to Seattle, and you're seeing a lot of people move here. I've seen a lot of comments about Sound Transit. They're building the light rail system up through Hilltop, and I've seen 3 or 4 different people make a comment that they had moved from Seattle, from Fremont or different places, Ballard. They had moved because they couldn't afford it. Now they're afraid they're going to get priced out. Now, these are ex-Seattleites. Now, I don't know where they came from before or if they're originally from Seattle, but they're saying, like, look, we're probably going to get priced out again because the property tax is going to get you. So the unique thing is that this area here, in terms of Tacoma, is growing very fast. It's the fastest in the entire state. And also in terms of the homes, it's the fastest in the state, and it's also the fastest in the country. So it says in this article, which I will put a link down below, homes are selling in Tacoma at a faster rate, at fastest rate in the nation, Redfin says in a new report. And it talks about how in last May, they basically had said that we were the nation's hottest market in terms of Tacoma. And it hadn't changed. They said on Thursday, they also stated that Tacoma was the fastest selling metro market nationwide in January. It says that we are the fastest market with half the homes pending sale in just 23 days. So house goes on the market and basically 23 days gone. And that's down from 36 days a year earlier. So a year before we were the fastest, we beat that quite a bit in terms of days. The cities that come after that are Rochester, New York, Buffalo, New York, were the next fastest market with 28 and 29 days on the market, followed by Omaha, Nebraska at 31, Sacramento, California at 33. So literally, in under 24 days, homes are pretty much gone. From the time they're listed to the time they're pending and all of that, just gone. Tacoma also ranks as a competitive market with 34.2% of the homes selling above list price. I had mentioned this before, that if you're wanting to buy a home, do it quickly. And I had talked about how homes, there's this whole escalation thing. Seattle had that before, and then the downturn it's not really a downturn. Basically, the market correction last year, you didn't see a lot of that where people were selling homes for a certain amount, and then you had like 80 people trying to get the home, and then the home went for, you know, 10, 15, $20,000 more than what the person was asking for, because it was a correction and people started to lose money on homes, and so they just started to, take a back seat. Well, Tacoma didn't go through that as much. Yeah, there was a slight dip in terms of the amount of homes that are being sold, but the price never did change. It kept going up. It slowed down, but it kept going up. And then as you can see here, it's talking about now homes, and it has been for quite some time, homes are selling above list price. We bought this house above list price, actually. Not a huge amount like some people are doing now. But we had a little bit of a price war between us and another family for a little bit. The only other markets with a higher percentage of homes selling above the list price were in California, Oakland, San Francisco, and San Jose. So the Bay Area is the only other place in the entire country where there's a higher percentage of homes selling above the list price. So Tacoma, just Tacoma, not Seattle, not Bellevue, not any of those. Tacoma, not any of the suburbs. We're talking Tacoma itself. The city of Tacoma is holding its weight against every other big city in the country with the exception of the Bay Area. That says something. The one city that used to be the biggest ridicule, that and Oakland. Oakland was also a big city that was ridiculed. Like, people talk negative about it. But the two cities where, and Oakland has held that title for a bit too, but the two cities that are also very competitive in terms of prices being selling above their list price, Oakland, California, San Francisco, and San Jose, but Tacoma leads the entire pack of the entire country. Redfin agent Brian Richards, who works with in the Tacoma market, says that conventional offers aren't cutting it anymore. Sorry, I'm getting a little tongue-tied. In scenes reminiscent of what Seattle was experiencing at the height of its rising home prices. Now, this is a scenario that this realtor is stating. He says that there was a scenario where one of his clients offered $75,000 above the asking price on a home, with an additional $25,000 in the event of a low appraisal, something growing more common as appraisal values are being rapidly outpaced by prices. So what this means is that, let's say that a home, just to make it easy, a home was listed at 90,000, okay? But because the city is growing so quickly in terms of population, there's so many people that are interested in homes, basically the city is appraising homes often. And we even are seeing a huge tax increase down here because of everything. So a lot of people are paying a bunch. I don't know what ours is yet, but they're paying a bunch in property tax, like a bunch. It went up. Some people are seeing a $500 increase. Some people are seeing a $1,000 increase on their property taxes. But anyway, so the city comes through and they reevaluate everything, and all of a sudden the city says, no. It's no longer worth 90,000. We feel, based on the land, based on the home, because both of those are separate, that home's worth 100,000. So what this person did was, so that they wouldn't be under the game, because basically the realtors will always run and check what the market is, check and see what the trends are. So what this one client did was, because they probably got in a bad situation before where they put in money for a house and then an appraisal came through and it says, nope, actually the house value is too low. It's by far too low. So technically that person's taken a hit, right? So this person, this realtor, is stating that one of his clients basically had $100,000 available just to purchase a home. And it says that, so he put in $75,000 more than the asking price for the home and had $25,000 on hand just in case if the appraisal says the house was worth a little bit more. Yet he could go $25,000 more if he needed to, right? And he says the client still lost out to another cash offer. Someone else offered something more. Now that happened here in Tacoma, right? So it's funny. I remember not long ago, we're talking 6, 7 months ago, I have some people on my Facebook page that are from Seattle who used to make all types of comments about Tacoma and negative comments and blah, 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 blah. Not doing it anymore. You don't hear those comments anymore because really and truly Tacoma's holding its own. And I've even said in the parking garage, you will see, I never saw a Tesla in Tacoma. Not saying that they didn't exist. When we first moved here 3 years ago, I never saw one Tesla. Never saw any high-end cars. Last year was the first time I saw Ferrari, Lamborghini, different things like that. Heck, there was even a commercial, an insurance company or a bank or something here did in Tacoma, and they had a Lamborghini speeding through town, you know, or maybe it was the lottery. I think it was the lottery, and they were using this white Lamborghini that was speeding through town. And the parking garage, even at the start of the studio, I never saw one Tesla. And trust me, I have to go floor by floor by floor just to find a parking space. And I one time saw one, maybe a few months back, and then now you go in there and you see 4 or 5, because a lot of the folks from Seattle and other places live down here because it doesn't make any sense to buy a house up in Seattle, even if you're making a lot of money, because the taxes are going to get you. And so the realtor says, and that was just an average nice home in University Place. Not unique with any special views, because in University Place you can easily get a view of the water or the islands or anything. So it says Tacoma is having bidding wars every day. And he says his office is seeing more cash sales in the Tacoma market, meaning that if a home's selling for $400,000, someone's coming in there with $400,000 in cash. Not a loan, nothing, cash. Now, that's not always the case, but they're seeing a lot more. And you just saw an example of a person who lost a home and they had $100,000 available and still lost it because someone else outbidded them. Buyers seeking lower priced homes are often faced with turning to measures to make their offers more attractive, like waiving inspections and other real estate contract contingencies. Let me tell you this. Most places in the country, you can basically say, look, I want this home, but it depends on the inspections. And, I need for you to fix the sink. I want the sink to look better. There's the water heater is a little outdated. Can you take a little bit off? This and that. You can't do that here because they're just say, well, bye. I don't care if you want all those things done. You can get an inspection. You cannot. Some of these homes may even have termite issues. And the realtor will tell you, like, you can go and get an inspection done, and if termite issues come up, the next person buying is not going to care because they can easily go in and fix a termite issue, it depends. It doesn't have to be that bad. Sometimes it's very localized. But they can easily fix that issue and move on. I mean, you can drive through places that were typically unattractive just 5 years ago, and you're seeing what people have done to homes. I saw a house that we were going to buy in Hilltop, and it's right there. It's right on the light rail line. That house today we couldn't even find it. We were like, where's that house that we were looking at? We couldn't find it because they basically took that house and remodeled it from the dirt all the way up to the roof. It was a 2-story house. You couldn't even tell it was the same house. Like, it was remodeled, heavily landscaped, remodeled. And so we were like, that's the house, because we remembered the address and we remembered certain things. And it's right in front of a particular hospital there. And we're like, yeah, right in front of the sign. I don't want to give it away too much, but just completely remodeled. And we were like, what? So people are sinking a lot of money into these homes that they have to fix up because they have the ability to do so. So if folks bought 2-3 years ago, they're really reaping the benefits because they bought low. Then they're just dumping the rest of the money they would have spent up in Seattle. So they bought a house for $200,000, nice house, very convenient. And they basically said, hey, I can either spend $500 or $600,000 up in Seattle and get a house that's whatever, or I can basically spend $200,000 on a whatever house here and dump the rest of that money into remodels and also take a vacation. And that's what a lot of people have done. And so those houses have just escalated in value. The closer you get to downtown, the bigger the value. So increasing the earnest money offered by potential buyers is another tactic, up from the typical 1% to 5%. So a lot of times they will say you need to put some earnest money down, and a lot of times you can get away with that 1%. But here, no. I mean, even when we were doing it, it wasn't even 1. I've never heard of 1%. Additionally, Richards noted some local sellers, particularly retirees, are taking advantage of the current market status and taking their proceeds from Tacoma sales to buy into lower cost real estate in such states as Idaho and Texas. Excuse me. Where is this headed? With the influx of demand from California and tech and I can't even talk or read. With the influx of demand from California and tech from overflow in King County, because of the prices, it's difficult to know. They don't know what's going to happen as far as the future. He added, bubbles come and go. We need to remain committed to people who have been with us through thick and thin. They were talking about jobs and how that's a big issue. They're trying to incentivize developers and construction companies to build more affordable housing, et cetera, et cetera. They said cities such as Bellevue and Redmond need to either meet employer demands for housing or downzone for workplaces. Having their higher paying jobs concentrated in King County isn't working anymore. And it really isn't. See, here's the thing that King County, Amazon, Microsoft, the big companies really don't get. They focus all of their energy in one place or in certain key places. That's it. They don't put their jobs of value. They don't put their jobs anyplace else. They only put it in downtown Seattle or downtown Bellevue or right there in Redmond. That's kind of it. Same thing with T-Mobile, which is in Bellevue. They only focus on those areas. Well, the problem is that even if you have a worker that makes $200,000 a year, these home prices in Bellevue are at $1 million. I mean, a lot of these people still can't afford a home there. It's the same thing that happened in San Jose back in the day. People were basically living in their cars because they couldn't even afford the basic small house, right? They just couldn't, even though they were working in tech. So you're seeing the exact same thing happen in places like Bellevue where people just can't, or maybe their credit is bad. Even though they're making a lot of money, maybe their credit was bad because not long ago in college, they did like what I did and got a bunch of credit cards that were offered on a table. And then you use them all, right? So some of these people have debts or college debt, which is a big issue. So just because they have a big paying job doesn't mean they can afford that. So what happens is these cities like Bellevue grow very slowly because people can't really afford that. And so you don't have a lot of the creature comforts you're going to find in other cities. You just, even in Redmond or Bellevue, you're not going to find the same things because you're not going to have a whole lot of people that are going to be out and about. When you go to Bellevue, it looks great because the skyline's impressive. You see a lot of people walking around doing things, but really and truly, families have a hard time making it there unless you're really doing well. And it's not as vibrant as the whole of downtown Tacoma, to be honest with you. Now, some people will say that's not true, but look at what families can do downtown here. Look at all of the things that you're able to do for free. We have so many different museums on our museum campus that I think it's one Thursday a month, it's all free. We have a free children's museum. We have loads of different parks, from Wright Park, which is a big, nice, beautiful park, Dune Peninsula Park. You know, we have Point Defiance, which is the second largest park in the entire country, with Central Park being the biggest. You know, you have all these different beaches that are around here that are close by. There's just tons of stuff. So if you're a family on a budget, you can do a lot more. So you're going to have a lot more people downtown. You also have a university downtown. So it's just, there's more that you're able to do because you're not having to fork all your money into just trying to make it there, right? So what they're saying is that they're taking 10 times the amount of jobs they have housing for, which is true. Those places don't have the housing to supply the amount of people that they're employing. If you look at what Amazon's wanting to do in Bellevue, they're going to put 15,000 jobs there, but Bellevue doesn't have 15,000 places for people to live. They just don't. So where do those people choose to live? They can't live in Seattle because the housing supply is not available, or it's too expensive. They can't do it in Bellevue because it's even more expensive. They can't afford homes over in that area because it's super expensive. So where do you think a lot of those people end up? They end up here and they bring their money here. So that ties into what I was talking about earlier about brewery blocks and the businesses going in there. There's a reason, right? And I was talking to someone about, they came into the studio and they were talking about apartments, and I was talking about the brewery blocks and how much the apartments are there. And they were like, what? And they were from Portland. And they were like, what? And I said, because they're able to do that. I mean, even though those places are pricey, it's still cheaper than what people are going to find up in Seattle or Bellevue. Anyway, enough of me yapping. So it goes on, it talks about this. It says right now Tacoma is a bit behind in terms of missing middle inventory like duplexes and townhomes. We are behind that. Another challenge is Tacoma residents looking to re-enter the housing market. I think the challenge has been historically we've always been very affordable. There's not a lot of entry points into the market for people who live here. Again, it goes back to what I said before. Folks here, they don't have the jobs that would pay them good, like what you're going to see up in Seattle and Bellevue typically. So their pay is a lot less. Homes down here were much more affordable, right? There are homes that were in this neighborhood not long ago that were, just barely at 100,000. Now those homes are 3 times that much. So if you're someone who was born and raised here, all of a sudden things just shot up real quick, and it's like you can't afford it. So it pushes those people out. It's like you have a whole shift going on, right? This new data shows Tacoma homes selling faster than anywhere else in the U.S. So the mayor has taken some actions on this and what needs to be done. Thursday, Redfin making this news comes on the heels of Northwest Multiple Listing Service, which said that virtually sold out of homes under 500,000. So entirely different publication, which is Northwest Multiple Listing Service. They did a report in January and they said that homes under 500,000 are virtually sold out in Tacoma, right? Now, what that means is that, because one of the people said that a realtor said you're not going to find home prices here are the same as they are up in Seattle. That's just not true. But the problem is that you won't find a lot of houses. There's just not a lot under 500,000. You're just not going to find a lot. And so it's becoming more and more of an issue. I do agree with the mayor that there's not a lot of townhomes here. There's also not a lot of duplexes. There is a project that somehow got stalled where a developer built all of these, I don't know if they're apartments or if they're townhomes, over in one of the sections of the city. I think it's over there off of 75th Street, but it's like going towards the east. And I think that's right. And they look really, really nice, but they're all boarded up. So it's like they ran out, whoever the developer was, or the company, they ran out of money, it seems, because they're completely done on the outside. They look great, but the windows are all boarded up, like they stopped in mid-development. That is something that the city probably should eventually take over, and either another developer needs to buy it and finish it and pay off all of the outstanding debts, which probably is what's happening, or the city needs to jump on that and make sure that gets done, because those right there alone would provide housing for scores of people. But it doesn't surprise me that homes are now selling at a faster rate again for the second year in Tacoma. It doesn't surprise me because literally Noelle was looking online. Noelle is good at finding stuff. Like even stuff you can't find, she can find it. And she couldn't find anything. So we're now in the same situation that Seattle was in not that long ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago. We're in that same situation here. Still, you're able to get a good deal. Some people are discouraged. They're like, I'm just going to give up. I wouldn't do that. I would be very proactive, and I would look for homes that may not be the prettiest. The problem is that people want a home that looks like, and not to pick on my hometown because homes there are pretty pricey. My hometown of Bowling Green, Kentucky. If you take $250,000 there to buy a home, it's going to look really nice. There are homes there of various different price range. But, you're going to have everything's going to look great. And they expect to come to here and they want a home that looks perfect, that it doesn't need to be remodeled. And you're just not going to be able to do that if you're looking for just an average person's home. Average being under $500,000. It's just not going to happen. You're better off finding a house where the roof doesn't leak, there's not huge holes in the floor, and that it's outdated. You're better off doing that and then slowly remodeling the house, because otherwise you're never going to get a home. It's just not going to happen. But if you find a home that you decently like, it may not be the prettiest on the outside, it may not be the prettiest on the inside, but it's a solid house, that is the home you want to get. You know what I mean? That's the house you want to get. Then you can make improvements on the home over time, as opposed to moving into the fancy schmancy. Also, remodeled homes, a lot of times there's things that are hidden. These are facts. So you are better off finding a home that nobody's done nothing with, and it's outdated. But when you do remodel sections of that house, you know exactly what they're doing. You know exactly what's behind the walls. You know exactly what wiring is there. You know exactly what type of materials are being used. So that, and also sometimes remodelers will use old materials. That happens. So anyhow, hope that folks got some information on this. Tacoma's a pretty hot market. It will probably continue to be for the rest of this year for sure. I will be doing a video talking about Brewery Blocks, which is a mixed-use development that's here, and they are doing gangbusters. It's insane. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.